Hi there. This is a video about multiplying radical expressions. I want to go through this example here step by step and show you how I, think about these problems and how I do them. So, first things first, you've got this radical expression, 3 times the square root of 2x to the fifth times 4 times the square root of 10x squared. So the first thing I'm going to do is multiply the parts that are outside, and then I'm going to multiply the things that are on the inside, all right? So I'm going to take 3 times 4, I'm going to reorder that, and I'm going to write the square root, and then I'm going to do 2 times 10 times x to the fifth times x squared, okay? At that point, at this step, I'm going to do 3 times 4, which gives us 12, all right, times the square root, and then let's combine everything in here. So I've got 2 times the square root of 10, 2 times 10, which gives us 20, and then x to the fifth times x squared gives us x to the seventh. You want to add your exponents here. So x to the seventh. All right, once I'm at this step, I look to see, can I simplify anything at this point? And the answer to that question is yes, but I want to rewrite things before I simplify them. All right, so from here, I want to split up 20, and I want to split up x to the seventh. And here's what I mean by that. I'm going to rewrite 12, or write 12, and then the square root, and then here, I want to rewrite 20 as the product of two numbers. All right, I had 2 times 10 up here, but that's not going to work for me at all. What I want to do is rewrite it as 4 times 5. The reason is because 4 is a perfect square, and I can take the square root of that. All right, then I want to rewrite x to the seventh, and I'm going to rewrite that as x to the sixth times x, okay? And so at this point, you can look at these as all separate radicals, all right? We've got 12 times, I'm going to write the square root of 4 times the square root of 5 times the square root of x to the sixth times the square root of x. Now, one question that's been asked to me is, isn't the square root of x just x? And the answer to that question is no. In order for me to get rid of the square root, you have to take the square root of x squared. That is equal to x, okay? And this is what I want to get out of this, and to kind of turn my x to the sixth power into different x squareds. All right, think about what a square root is. A square root is the opposite of squaring something. So like if you were to have, say, 3 squared, just as an example, that means you've got 9. To go backwards, take the square root of 9, you go back to 3. Well, I could rewrite that as the square root of 3 squared, and that gives you 3. It's kind of this thing where if you have the square root and a squared, they kind of just cancel each other out, and you're left with the number underneath. All right, and that's the idea. Same thing works here. So this is going to stay as the square root of x, all right? So even though I'm at this step, I'm gonna go through and rewrite the square root of x to the sixth. I'm going to do all this at the same time. So square root of 12 times the square root of 4 times the square root of 5 times the square root. Now I'm going to rewrite this as x squared times x squared times x squared, and then times the square root of x. I'm going to go even further and show one more step and say the square root of 4 times the square root of 5 times the square root of x squared, and split this up again into different radicals, and then times the square root of x. Now, the reason I'm showing all these steps, I really just want everybody to see how I'm going through this question and my thought process. So let's look at the values that we can take the square root of. We can take the square root of 4. We can take the square root of x squared 3 times, okay? And let's take a look at what we get. All right, once I have the 12 already out front. Now I've got the square root of 4 gives me 2. Now the square root of x squared gives me x. And so I'm going to do that 3 times. And I can't take the square root of 5, nor can I take the square root of x. I'm just going to leave those under the square roots. So now I've got the square root of 5 times the square root of x. So now I want to simplify all of this stuff over here. I'm first going to take 12 times 2, which gives us 24. And then I've got x times itself 3 times, which gives us x cubed. And then I'm going to go back and multiply 5 and x under one radical, so times the square root of 5x. And that's it. That's all I can do for that problem, and that's the simplified answer. So I am literally going through this problem showing as many steps as I can on this. If I'm doing this problem, I do not show this many steps. I'm just trying to show the structure of how, you start with 2 radical expressions, multiply them together, and then expand it out, expand it further, expand it even further, and then take the square root of what you can take the square root of, and then combine it all back together and to arrive at your answer. So hopefully this helps. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks. Bye.